First, I'd like to, everybody get a chance to read over the minutes. Okay, I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any corrections? Okay, so carried. Okay, next is public comment. No public comment? Okay, we'll move right on. Next is Randy Highway.
All right. I don't know. The last weekend storm had a few minor breakdowns with the trucks. Nothing out of the ordinary, just sander chain broke, stuff like that. Nothing astronomical to get worried about. The club contracts I brought up last meeting, I have not gotten to yet. I will continue to get with the club presidents and get those signed. On the next part of that, though, we talked about the 70% voucher and so on from Parks and Recreation that we have not gotten. I spoke to them today, and that is in the mail today. I should have an electronic version to authenticate that.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, well, that's a
Email
promise.
version. So, they send them UPS now because so many people said they didn't get them and so on and everything else. So now the state has to spend extra money on UPS, so that will be coming to your attention probably.
Okey-dokes.
Or it'll be just town of Lake Pleasant, whatever,
Okay,
UPS package.
okey-dokes.
Then the original voucher, not a copy of that, I'm getting an email, has to be sent back, signed, and then the checks after that. As far as snowmobile trails, very poor shape due to Mother Nature not giving snow. The river trail has several water holes that everybody seems to be,
New ones.
oh yeah, seems to be going slow through and then getting stuck. The Perkins clearing was groomed Saturday, just because it was roads. There's 5 inches of snow out there at best, so not gonna be great. We can't do anything with the groomer except pack them down.
Folks are using the alternative, the little scooter cross next to my house there.
Yeah,
A lot of folks using that.
they've also been using the alternative Trail 8.
Yes. Yeah, a little of that. Yeah.
Been hearing about that. And I said, oh, there's
It's
trails.
not, it's certainly not in your job.
Right, I can't do
I
that.
can't imagine a rider who doesn't know
Yeah.
they're taking their own chances there.
I talked to Lime Timber today, they don't seem to be having a big issue up there, so,
Good.
so
Yeah,
far,
that's good. Wow.
that's a good thing, but we don't have the numbers yet,
No.
that we normally do, so. If there's anything good about not having a lot of snow, there's no
Yeah,
big
not getting
push to
too
get
bad,
out
yeah.
there. I don't know if you wanna mention now.
Go right ahead.
We met, Betsy and I and Dan Wilt, and went and found the high water mark drilling in the rock and also the stake in the telephone pole, which I didn't know was there, out on the road. So there's a mark at the beach and there's a mark
Right.
at the road.
Yep. So
So we're going to.
that thing in the pole
Is the high water mark of the lake.
is it on a transit
About
that
6
way?
inches up, yep,
Wow.
from the road.
Okay.
So it's higher than the road,
Yeah, it was. That's what kind of confused me.
yeah. So, whether or not you wanna pursue getting, a time frame, we discuss, after Memorial Day. So people have the chance to get, if they want anything out of there, and right now it's just old dock sections and a couple tires that were probably from the old dock. That I saw down there. Not a lot of stuff left. That's it.
Nothing on buildings?
Buildings seem to be holding up. So that's a good
Knock
thing.
on wood.
Okay,
The mark on the telephone pole,
Is a
was that like
state,
a seal or something?
it's a yellow.
it's a big spike
Yellow.
nailed in with a yellow
Yeah,
tag on it.
Yeah, big yellow tag. You can't really miss it. It's very low though, Chris.
Well,
If you're
it's-
sitting
We
in
have
the
a very
car,
limited
you
amount
gotta
of
look
snow, we had
down.
to shovel.
It's the
it
high
away.
water
We
mark.
had to shovel.
It's the high water
Randy
mark.
had to shovel. Okay, well then we're getting into old business, which was the 175 Golf Course Road, and being Randy just reported that.
Sorry.
No, I'm not, no. I didn't mean
Can I
it
ask one
that
more
way.
question, Betsy?
Sure.
The thing in the rock, that's like a spike or something
Right
set
now,
in
it's
it?
just a little 1/8" drill hole, but we're
Just
going
a
to
drill
make
hole.
it a much
Right.
bigger one with a piece of metal.
So it was already there?
Well, Dan
Well,
drilled it.
yeah.
Oh, Dan drilled it,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
We had a little
thank you.
rough time finding it between
Yeah,
the snow and the ice on
Even the
there.
driller didn't know where it was.
Right, he
Yeah,
drilled
we
it in
found it.
anticipation of having a.
Yes.
Bigger,
A tie
later
rod.
on,
Yeah.
we'll attach something to it.
Yes, okay, but, now that that's established and we're ready to go, I wanted to talk to the board, the idea of putting together a draft letter, if a board member wants to volunteer, or if you want me to do it, put together a draft letter and get it out to all board members or myself to review and make changes, and so that for the next meeting, we kinda are ready to send it out, but we bring it to the board and get a motion, and then I'll get it mailed out after the next meeting, if that is good by everybody else.
This is a draft letter
To,
to all the
to all the
stakeholders.
stakeholders in, yes, yes. Which Randy and I had discussed, we kind of thought if we made it, the last day, Monday, would be the last day, Monday of Memorial Day weekend, then that would give them the full weekend to get everything out. Everything would have to be off the property by Tuesday,
Gotcha.
is what we thought would be fair. And this, if we can get it out after the next meeting, that would give them 3 months, which is ample time for them to make a plan for when they come up to open up camp. Anybody have anything different to add to that, or thoughts?
One more question. I know we consulted an attorney on this going in. So whomever writes this draft letter, would we have the attorney?
I would
Review
think that would
that.
be a wise move.
I would too.
That's what would be good, if we could kind of get all our ducks in a row
Well, it just,
together.
it never goes well if it sounds particularly threatening to folks who, let's face it, from what I gathered over the last many months in town board meetings, there's some strong feelings about this area. And some folks will see this, irrespective of everything the boards try to do. Some folks will see this as, usurping their
Picking on
their
them.
Right.
land use rights.
Yeah.
We want to take one step at a time. We want to do this right. We
Right.
don't want to jump at anything.
But there is something that we can do that the members might want to just mull over for a while, is to basically reset. We can put no trespassing signs there. We have the authority to do that on any piece of town-owned property.
You mean
And
just
that
to
was-
tamp down any new use and then go into it?
Well, this restores to the right-of-way holders their privileged use of it, you
Gotcha.
know? So it's just something we might want to think about. And I've thought about this and thought about this and thought about this, and that's the only thing I can come up with that I think is fair. You know, it restores their
I'm certainly for that.
value to their property by having exclusive use of the right-of-way.
And will that open us up for anything with any other taxpayers in the community that want
No.
to use it? It won't.
Not from,
No,
you
but-
certainly want to check
Again,
with
you
the
have-
town attorney, but all the reading I've been doing on the state, Office of the State Comptroller site is, any municipality can post any municipal land for no trespassing, for any or no reason at all.
But I think what Betsy's asking is, if that no trespassing then will stir up a hornet's nest about the folks who have
Yeah,
felt.
because
Yes, that's where I was going.
Well-
if I can chime
but
in
they-
here,
Please.
half the reason, at least, that this all started was that sign. We put the sign limiting what they could do there.
Right.
They're, at first
And they
glance
took it
in
as-
social media, they're going to see a no trespassing sign there. And they're gonna go ballistic.
You're talking, now, are we talking
I'm talking landowner, or
Right.
That would be put
the
in
non-landowners, the people who have been using that?
the
Not
right-of-way
right-of-way
owners.
owners.
The right-of-way owners
Correct.
will go ballistic when they see a
Absolutely.
no trespassing sign there, cause they're
Well,
gonna
I think if it's
assume.
explained to them that that's
Right.
the only way it can be reset. I mean, to me, that resolves all the issues, and if you've got, you know, a couple people that have taken advantage of the situation, and started going down using that beach. Usually beaches are far nicer than,
Yeah, I think most of it is used in the wintertime, the ice fishermen
Access.
to access
yes,
to the
and I
lake to
don't
get
think
their
any of the
shanties out
right-of-way
there.
holders have a problem with that, and, you know, I don't know how you could get away with it by, you know, let's just look the other way when Oscar takes his ice shanty out, I don't know.
So at this point, we have not, new back in this, we have not made separate rules for parcel A and parcel B.
No,
Okay,
Because parcel A is one they're using, and they really should be using parcel B.
right, the ones who have right-of-ways should be on A, and they've been using B along with everyone else because A had all this
No.
no,
crap
that's
on
the
it.
opposite.
Well, A, B, well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be
The
using
one
the
where the
wood
path
lot.
is actually the very limited one that only
Yeah.
has 2 or 3 people, and everybody uses that one because the rest is a swamp,
yeah,
so.
Gotcha, right.
let's
So-
be
So
short
unless
with
we want to fill that swamp in.
it. Poof. And I don't think the EPA will let you do that one.
I don't think so.
Here, there,
No, I know
So-
there are a lot of things to iron out, but.
yeah, so now let's take a step back here, what are we doing? Are we following through with what we had originally planned, or are we taking a step back now and going with this no trespassing? I kinda think we set the stage already in the fall, that we were going to follow through with this, removing the
Stuff.
individual's private, yes.
Yeah, they'd still have to do that.
Right, but I mean, we need to send a letter out to let them know what's going on. I kinda feel they're out of town now and they won't be back until
right.
early
I
May,
think
so-
your timeframe is correct when you first premised this.
So-
I was just trying to get re-edified here to the, those folks who do not have any legal right, whether they're using the wrong or the right of way, those folks who have been historically using this property for access. What will that no trespassing sign do to them?
I think it will anger them, honestly.
Well-
I mean, I don't know if anybody has talked to them. I've talked to a couple of them and, yeah, they're upset about this, that they may lose their
Well, I mean, this has been going on a
access.
while, if you remember, Leo brought this up, so that's, what are you here, 6, 8?
Oh, it's gotta
Yeah,
be,
so Leo was here 11 to 14, or 10 to 14, so.
Okay, so somewhere in the 12, 13 range, he brought up the fact, which I was completely unaware that the town owned anything down there. And it was during a time when the Innemans were leaving and so on and so on. And there were some requests from them, from he and his lady friend, to do some things that the town should work on. And one thing led to another. He says, well, you know there's a strip of land. I said, no. I said, well, why don't we get rid of it? Because I had some success in offering out the property over in Killerfield.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, Oscar goes down there and the so-and-so and cousins of his. And I said, for what? As you said, it's not exactly a fantastic beach. He says, no, it's the contra season. It's getting on Sacandaga in
See, I would
the
feel
winter.
that it's the people that are paying additional taxes because they own a right of way to that property should have more consideration than somebody that's just been using it,
I do not disagree.
you know?
And my feelings on these sort of ghost right-of-ways is, geez, I can assure you, Leo, town may own it, but I'm not so sure that I've given it to Steve Sawn or to whomever as far as our old insurance guy. I don't know if he's still our insurance guy. But in the way of liabilities. And then it came up again briefly before I was out of this office with people using it in permanent docks and swings and this sort of thing. So it was kind of snowballing along. But I agree with you, Chris. In general, these sort of holdings we should be honoring folks who, rightly or wrongly, I mean, some of these things, I think they throw them in on these deeds and, oh, it's 3 miles from here, but we're putting it to your house. I don't find that as really good real estate law, but it is what it is, and we have a bunch of them. But we have to honor them and make these people feel whole. I just,
Exactly.
I never, in all the attended meetings, never quite heard the gavel drop on how we were going to deny those folks who have been going, or do we just ignore, you know?
No, no decisions have been made.
Okay, I blinked, I wasn't sure.
Seems to me with this, no trespassing sign, since there's two right-of-ways. And the one that's used the most, or used by everybody, only has a few people with deeded rights away to that piece of land. If you put a no trespassing sign on there, everybody that's got the deeded right away to the other piece of property is still gonna be using that land, and that could cause legal problems.
Yep.
So that's just something
Well, why
we gotta
wouldn't
think
we put
about.
no trespassing sign on, I mean, there's one parcel, there aren't two parcels.
Two persons.
Two parcels.
It's two parcels.
There are two right-of-ways,
Yeah, and
but
people
it's
have
one
it,
parcel now, right? The town owns both pieces, and I thought it was rolled into one parcel.
Last time it was still two parcels.
Yeah.
Now it's
Okay.
150-foot piece of land.
Oh, there's 150 foot?
In the maps, one
150-foot
piece.
piece of land, right.
Okay.
So
So-
this bifurcated line is really there, it's imaginary for the most part.
It's an imaginary line that you have access to the left side. There's only a couple people that have access to the right side, but everybody uses the right side because it's the better side. You're not walking through the swamp.
Right.
So concisely, town owns the
Owns
parcel,
whole piece.
nobody's paying taxes on the parcel.
Well, the right-of-way holders do.
They have an
They don't pay.
increased cost in their taxes.
In their taxes at their house.
Yes,
Okay, right.
because of the
right.
right of way.
But there's no assignation to that. If Debbie would have pulled out that parcel number, there'd be.
Oh, no, we don't pay taxes to ourselves,
Right.
no.
Well, we don't, but neither would there be a list of those people who had attribution for that.
they're,
It's figured in by assessors, I'm assuming,
Right.
into those. Well,
Increased value of their property.
sure. When you prove you have a right of way, they bump you up $50 or
Ron, what did you have there?
I was gonna look and just at the county map, but it's a misnomer that, you know, everybody was arguing that they're paying taxes on that piece of land. They're not.
That's what I.
They're paying taxes on the assessed value of their deed because they have a right of way in it.
Right.
Correct. Right, and those are small differences, but they're nuanced and real.
They are.
Sure.
You're not paying lakefront taxes. You're
No,
paying
not at all.
taxes on your property.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so where do we stand on this? Because it seems like we're going backwards again, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong here, I'm just,
No.
we need to make a decision, we have to decide what we're doing here. We've been kicking this around for so long, we need to put this to rest.
I would just like to see it before, when you send your letter out, to be able to send a letter saying, and this is what we're gonna do to resolve the problem.
Okay.
End of story. So that's why I brought it up. That gives
Okay.
the board plenty of time to come to consensus on what should be done.
Okay,
Right, but if we're talking about drafting a letter coming out of this meeting, I think clarity first before we start even a draft. How about a sign that doesn't just say no trespassing, that says something more elaborate or something more explicit?
Right of way holders only.
Right, right away, this is a town of Lake Pleasant parcel for the use of deeded right away,
Sure.
blah, blah. So, you know, that we're gonna catch it from those folks who now feel they're excluded, but I think, like Betsy's trying to bring us to make a decision, tough or not.
I would guess, and again, you know, maybe the town attorney would have to be asked this, but I would guess, I know by putting up a no trespassing sign, if people who own rights of way to that property call the sheriff and say somebody's down here and they're trespassing, somebody's gonna get a ticket. If we put up right of way, use by right of way holders only, I would guess that that would obviate that, which might solve the problem with use in the winter, you know? I mean, I think that's a great idea, Neil.
But again, the sign could also, you know, bullet, could also say, you know, make it plain the town owns the property and that no appurtenances, no, whatever the legal terms are, can be left here,
Right.
right? I owned a right of way for many, many, many years, and that was the rules. The people who had right of ways could go down it, no one was allowed to leave a trailer, to leave a truck, to leave anything that was blocking the next person's use.
Right.
In our cases, it's not just amount of blocking, I think it's amount of sort of attractive nuisance things that, fall in the laps of your public works people to, hey, this shouldn't be here, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Okay, so Chris, would you be willing to draft up your thoughts on
Sure.
paper and get it to the board members and
Yeah,
let everybody kind of read through it
put an
and
email
add
to
to
us.
it and change, and then we
I
can
do
possibly
that,
get a hold of
'cause
the
I've got
attorney?
all the notes on here from every discussion we ever
Okay,
had about it,
so you're the right one for it.
I can put
the
something
right one for the
together and then
job.
you can edit the hell out of it.
Yeah, and then we can get it to the attorney and get this
Okay.
moving and.
yeah, including,
Put it to rest.
including what you might see compiled in what we just talked about.
Right.
In a fixed sign.
Okay,
Then we go about drafting and mailing that letter and of putting the sign up in the spring.
okay.
Then we're gonna have to deal with the problems with the dock,
Yeah, that's, I'd like to not have to deal with that this year.
cause that's gonna be on so-called state land if they put it out.
Yeah, that's not gonna be our
They're
problem.
gonna put it up just out of spite. I don't think there was a boat on it last year, and they put it up just to say they could.
That's the neighbors.
No,
That's the right of way.
the right of way people.
So maybe
Put their
southern
dock
and-
out on their right of way, and they make it 3 feet into the water.
Right, that's how we
That's it.
found it, so that there's a gap.
Yep,
I'd still like to see a letter from them stating that this is a state law. I don't think anybody's ever seen one.
No,
That what is a state law?
that they can put a
Do
dock
that, that
anywhere.
They can put a
Right.
dock anywhere they want on the lake as long as they're on state
Well,
land.
we got our half expert missing here tonight, but we used to refer questions to Nancy, to go back and ask John or Tom, because certainly Tom, who was the patrol ranger for our area here, when I had questions at the end with neighbors or whatever, I just asked him and he quarterbacked it right there, nope, this is yes, this is a no.
They said they had something, but it was never shown to them.
Sure, yeah, you'll have to produce to the town clerk a copy of that
well,
judgment.
I don't know, did they ever say they had something?
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
They said, you look through your notes, they said they had, from some high-powered attorney, they had this
Yeah,
law
particularly
that
as
they
a-
could
But he
do.
wouldn't give us the name of the attorney or any of the impertinent
Right.
Yeah,
information,
right.
so.
Attorneys do everything on paper, we need a copy of
That's
that
right.
paper. That's absolutely true.
So maybe I'll contact someone through DEC, try to get to the right connection, find out what the law is, get it in writing so that, and I'll get it to everybody on this committee.
Well, who's our ranger now, do you know?
We are out of one till February
I thought so.
15th.
We're having a female ranger.
We are.
Oh, I heard.
But I have the lieutenants, Lazaro,
Yeah,
somewhere in my phone here, I have a phone number for him.
Okay,
well, yeah, just a phone call or a text to them to ask what paperwork on file do you have for this parcel number,
okay.
and they may be able to answer.
Or what the law reads.
Is that his
That's what
first
you
name,
gotta-
Lazaro?
No,
Last name.
Last name.
Lieutenant,
first name is Lieutenant.
and trust me, it goes by it. Jamie, Jaime, LACZKO.
Okay,
Phone number 518-335-3429.
okay.
3429.
Okey dokey, and I'll get that information
Now
to
that
you
the
guys.
entire world has
About the
that.
legal use, about putting the dock in.
LCV.
Good.
KO.
Everyone should have the ranger's number.
Okay,
That's true.
That is the lieutenant. That's
So
the
next-
boss of
so-
the-
So, but are we
Public
treating the dock as
information.
part of this problem or a separate problem?
I would think it would be
I
separate,
think it
no?
is separate.
I would
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
That's
One
not,
step at a time.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it may be arm's length away from us, it could be
Right.
between
Right.
those landowners living
And
wherever they
DEC.
live and DEC.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, next is the Verizon towers. We've had quite a few meetings. Last week, they actually did on-site, meetings with each individual county, village, town here. Randy and I walked with them, and, we're having another meeting this Thursday to go over the contracts. There's a couple of things in the contract that needs to be changed, that the attorneys feel, so I'll let everybody know how we make out with that, but for our site here, it looks really good for us.
Straight shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it would actually be on our salt shed, on the outside of our salt shed. There's a power pole there, they just have to dig across from the power pole to the building, right, Randy, for the, okay, you tell it.
Okay, they're gonna come from our building over to the salt shed, which is already has a service there.
Yeah, there's juice there.
They're just gonna change the box and such so they can add another breaker to it, a
Gotcha.
bigger breaker.
Yep.
The fiber optics that they need is coming through the woods on that power line up
Okay.
there, and then underground to the salt shed also.
Okay. that's
That
good.
way, we opted to go that way because I wanted the generator that runs this facility to run that also if the power goes out.
Yeah, we need-
Once again, if we lose power, we don't lose cell service, which is a novel idea.
Terrific. Just, the taxpayers would be well served by that.
Right, when they put them on the poles where they originally started wanting to do, when the
Right.
power goes out, the power's out, and now the cell service is dead, this is retarded.
And the next jump from here would be courthouse?
And I don't know.
Yeah, from here would be the courthouse. There were 3 other sites that they would not name that day that they were going to check out that are potential. They're also doing right down by Moffett Beach, right there by the parking entrance.
Oh, okay.
And there's one at the end of Charlie Brown Lane, just outside of Speculator, and then I believe 2 in the village at this time.
We talked about this. Good.
So I'll let you know after this week's meeting where we stand with
Further
that.
we can get, the better.
Yep, okay.
And what are these, I don't mean to drag this on, but what are these towers gonna do for
They're
us?
they're not actually
They're
towers.
repeaters.
Just, yeah.
Gonna do for us people. I was under the impression, I've been hearing rumors that they're only gonna cover about 1,000-foot radius around the town. And is that gonna do anything for us far-reaching residents in the town that are very sketchy?
Well, we don't know how far, if you mean like down towards you and Nancy and out that way towards Pacifico, Faith. Anything is better than nothing at this point, and I think as we're trying to look at it, if it's a help from here to just say the other end of Sacandaga Lake, this is a start, and
Well, it's a
maybe then we
build-out.
can then we can start on from that point out further. At least let's get the ball rolling on this, and once we get it going. There's no guarantee to
They haven't
anything.
committed to going
They're-
exactly what you're talking
No.
about,
They're
but
not-
it is a build out.
They're not doing any site surveys to see exactly.
Yeah, they have been. They've been going, yes.
But they
have.
can't tell how
There's
far
3
it
in
went.
between. Now I don't know where those in between are. It could be between Speculator and the county building as well, or it could be even further past the county building. They're not saying. They had to go check them out the day they were here with us.
I wasn't at this meeting, but in the past, they've been rather, recalcitrant to talk about anything that's gonna end up on any private whatever, because I guess they, that's contractual with them. They're much more willing to share with an elected where the other prospective things would be that would be on state, county, local, on municipal properties. But they certainly are looking to build it out, and we just have to try to be
Yep,
cooperative.
absolutely.
Since these are repeaters, I have no idea what kind of money we're talking about for each one of these that's put up.
It's not costing us anything.
Right now.
It won't cost
But
us
if
anything.
we, if Verizon were to say, that's it, we're done, we're not doing any more, I wonder if it would be possible for the town to put up the infrastructure for repeaters to get out to the town line. That's why I'm wondering how much it costs to put one of these things up, you know?
I think that's one of the reasons that you keep your cards close. There have been other communities that offered maybe too early in the poker game and ended up paying for what may have come generically. But yes, I think once they sort of lay out the whole scope of their project, we try to then say, well, can we piggyback on those, right? Because
Yeah,
I
or-
think that's a great,
Wait a year or two and see if they're gonna do any more.
right, the
and
goal's gotta be to get to the town lines,
Oh, yeah.
just like it was for,
Right.
cable or anything that was.
Yeah.
And we don't
sought
wanna
after
do anything to
before.
discourage them, because they've been trying to do this in Inlet Eagle Bay, it's been 12 years. And
Yeah, I
they've
know.
still not gotten anywhere, so right now, the sites that they visited that day look really good, let's just go with it, it's not costing anybody anything, little is better than none.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go from there and
The
maybe we can
technology's
grow
better
from
now,
there,
too.
absolutely.
Or are
So-
they just trying to
Okay.
appease us so we don't give them any more problems?
Randy,
They have to appease the state,
Yeah.
right? I was at many meetings where the governor was there, where everything was gonna be lit up like a Christmas tree and all things were gonna be just hunky-dory in the way of communication, by 2020, so
And they
here we
took
are.
state money to do that.
Right.
But now they're gonna file for bankruptcy.
Right, between Slick
So.
and many of the other companies that work,
Yeah,
Frontier
and
also.
Verizon.
Verizon,
Yep.
yeah, so.
Can I get you to report on FEMA? Give a little brief, just a brief,
3 hours, you'll never get back.
Exactly, 3 hour meeting, a whole lot of watching slides and a lot of acronyms that I will probably never remember. And I mean a lot, see,
I've
you've
got
got papers
I've got a
full
bunch
of
of
them. Long and short of it, we are at a certain point where our RPA, I do believe it is called, has been sent in, and that all the towns have done this. And now we are waiting for the state to get in touch with us, which may happen tomorrow. They tried to make an appointment with me via email, I emailed them back and they have not confirmed it, but they are coming to the county tomorrow, so I assume if they're in town, they're going to stop by. To start our process of putting all our information onto what I call the grants portal, the portal on the computer, just like our grants portal. Once they teach us the proper way of doing that, we move on. Also, we are expecting a phone call / email from FEMA themselves that we definitely are encouraged to not voice until there's a state person with us. So they don't trick us into saying that certain things were bad before and now they're just worse and they should have been fixed, but now we're gonna bill it onto this, this program. Sign off on things we shouldn't be signing off on, not saying that the FEMA is a bad people, but I'm understanding from that meeting that anything they can get us to say that cuts their dues out, they're going to do.
Okay.
Just to be specific, there weren't really FEMA people there. All of the collective managers and important people were from the state, and they're from what they call DISHES, which is the Department of Homeland Security, right, emergency services. So the DISHES people are, and I rarely say, oh, the people from the state are here to help. I've never had that feeling. But this
With
group
this,
definitely is that.
That's what Randy said.
It's sort of pitting the Homeland Security, the DISHES group is there to make sure that we, anybody in their district, this is us, are getting everything that we're entitled to from FEMA. And FEMA, of course, is 75%. And then there were good questions asked about what the state plans to do in answer to the other 25. Historically, last time we had something like this, Randy's had one go around with them, but my time with Leo during Lorraine or whatever one of the ones was, the state ate 12.5%, so a quarter of our quarter. That's still up for grabs, but they, very specific about not saying yes to them, being FEMA, until we have a chance to sit with you and go over some of the nuance. You had a meeting or something almost the very next day
Yeah.
with some folks, right?
No, that's the meeting I just discussed that we have not had yet.
Okay, so they were
supposed to.
planning to come and they didn't come.
Yeah, they
Right,
come.
Well-
they wanted to get more and more people, I think is what they're
Yeah,
trying to do,
and-
is come up here and visit 3 or 4 towns at the same time.
But the hammer was document everything, keep file records, particularly on some of the things that you forget. This acronym of IF3P, he kept talking about, which for each disaster, and it has to do, the 3 Ps happen to do with payroll and those things that come from payroll. And Randy's pretty, clear, he's already sort of milled this stuff together. Another is insurance. If we have insurance, how much is the insurance going to pay, town insurance, going to pay for you for these sort of things? And that, of course, mitigates a little bit what FEMA can do. I don't know, have you got any in your pocket when you go to speak with these guys, when they come, when the DISHES folks come, having to do with hazard mitigation?
Well, I have a few sites that you and Leo
Had identified?
had identified before that did wash out on this. So that to me says, because mitigation pays almost 100% of the repair.
Mitigation
rather than
is where you
75%.
rebuild bigger then you.
Bigger, better.
Bigger and better than you had
Than
Plan
before.
for a big,
before,
big
because
storm.
see-
Right.
Okay.
So if you can
this already
document,
happened once.
FEMA's already paid us for this money, for this sort of place, be it a culvert or even a box, culvert for a road. If they were to, well, then it's time we gotta make it, and.
Bigger and better.
Right, and the
Right.
mitigation
So
requires
if it
that you build it
happens once-
1.5 times
Right.
the
This
size
would
of
be
what it was.
Easy mitigation,
Uh-huh.
saying, hey, Fed's already paid for this once,
Right.
now it's done it again, you're gonna pay again.
Right.
And then it's pretty easy to prove that point, and then he's,
Great.
once again, what they proved, given to us is 100% is better than 75%,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
So we'll identify those problem places and hope to have them.
Okay.
You gotta have your hand held by these dishes people to walk you through on a
They,
mitigation.
they do
plan.
this every day,
Right.
they know how to get every penny out of it.
Yeah.
And now there's large large job, I'll say jobs, projects, and then there's small projects. Small projects get paid out front.
Right.
Boom, up to a certain amount, they write you a check once they approve the project. The larger project, which we're gonna have 2 or 3 of them, if they approve them, you only get certain amounts as you progress. And it's a reimbursement, right? So you put out 100,000, they give you back the 100,000, you put out the next 100,000, and so on and so forth. And we're 2 of them are $350,000, $400,000 projects. So once like I said, we can't, my budget's nice and all, but you can't shell out that kind of money and then still function for the whole project.
Exactly.
So we have to do little pieces at a time. And if we can quarter up, say Hamilton Lake beginning part of the road that wasn't paved before, and then the end of the road as the far end that was paved as another project, that would be 2 small projects. As long as they don't link them together,
In the middle.
we won't have to put all that money out front.
Yep,
Then we can, if we can break it down to little projects, that's better off, because we'll get paid up front for it and be able to continue on
have
and get
that
these
money,
projects done.
right.
If you link that whole road into one, it's going to be another major, that would be my 3rd major. That means this town is going to get into a financial, like the mayor said in the village, yeah, this is nice, we could fix all these problems, but we gotta come up with the money first to do it.
Right.
Right.
And everybody's in the same boat, every
Right.
town, the
Every
county,
town is in the
everybody,
same boat.
every
We don't,
department.
if we had a couple $1 million laying around, we'd have these roads fixed
Right.
already.
Right,
You don't have that? Well, it's just, again,
Okay.
before getting in the cart before the horse, let's see what they walk us through and how they allow
Right.
these things to go in. But keep in mind, if it really was something that Public Works and this board wanted to do, the way those towns you mentioned, towns, villages, whatever, is they do, bond anticipation notes or,
Right.
bond it. But I think
We
we
gotta
can
have some
do this.
guarantees.
Yeah, I think we can do this with them, with everything we heard that day. I think we can do this in a reasonable way incrementally.
okay, next is the supervisor computer, everything's up and running, everything's great, Pete's got it all set. So we saved some money there. Next, we need a resolution tonight to change the mileage for town employees. Last year it was 58 cents a mile, the county has now bumped it down to 57.5.
Which the county
So-
always goes by what the new Fed
Right.
guideline comes through, so.
Right. So we need a resolution to change it to 57.5. Does anybody want to move that?
I would be happy.
Neil, okay,
Second it.
and Don second, okay. Okay, new business. Is there any other old business anybody think of?
You mentioned the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Is that
mention
up for
that.
grabs? Okay.
I'm gonna mention that actually in new business, I switched that around.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're gonna now go on to, the standing committees, for 2020. So finance and budget will be Nancy Seitz, Neil McGovern, and myself. Recreation trails will be Don Bronius and Randy Lavarnway. Safety committee is Debbie O'Rourke, Randy, myself, and Matt Seitz, who is the safety coordinator. Youth recreation is Nancy Seitz and Don Bronius. Cemeteries is Nancy Seitz, Randy, and Debbie. Highway is Randy, Don Bronius, and Chris Meixner. Building committee, Randy, Chris Meixner, and Don Bronius. Fire department committee is Neil, and Randy. Website committee is Chris, Kathy Aird, and Debbie O'Rourke. The health insurance committee is Chris, Randy, Debbie, and myself. And personnel will be Randy and Neil McGovern. So, next we have is our planning board, and I don't know if some people are familiar, but over the past year and a half, 2 years, we've been trying to change it to a 7-year term, going by the state guidelines. So, we have Vinnie Sorbella for planning board. He starts January 1st, 2019, and he expires December 31st, 2025. Joan Bronius, January 1st, 2019, she expires 12/31/23. Matt Seitz, he filled a vacancy. He is January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 23. Tom Conley, who's the chairman, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 22. Vicky Bice, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 26. Collie Smith is January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 26. And Alan Johnson would be January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2026. Board of Assessment Review, Gary Reinhardt Jr.
You're gonna do one resolution for
We're
everything.
gonna do one resolution for all of them, I thought? Okay. Board of Assessment Review, Gary Reinhardt Jr. He is October 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 21. That's the only change there. The Zoning Board of Appeals, Mark Doniger, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 24. And then the Consolidated Health would be myself as supervisor, Jeanette Barrett as mayor, and Michael Parslow, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 22. Okay, so we need a,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The planning board, this has been screwed up as long as I've been on the board.
right,
And there were problems because appointments were made with confusion about how long the term should be.
yeah,
The terms are supposed to be staggered so that one term expires every year.
right.
Now, I don't know how you want to handle that to fix it. Because I would assume you would want to talk to all the members and see if they would object. You know, for instance, change just change some of them so that they're
Right.
not expiring in the same year.
To your point, Chris, when the state went, which, by the way, I think it's pretty scary when people walk up to you and ask you to sit on a community board that pays, big solid nothing, for a 7-year commitment.
Yeah.
But the reason they did it was, was to do what you're talking about. If you have 7 members on your planning board, then you just
That's the reason.
change each one year, so
Right.
that
So that there's a-
every year there's either a reappointment or
continuity of
a new
knowledge.
fill. Yeah.
It's institutional knowledge.
Right, if you have all of your 22s and 23s leave in the same time, you would fall backwards.
That's what my
on
concern
training.
is.
I agree.
And I
So
don't
you
know how
have-
we would go about fixing that. Maybe you do, Neil.
No,
I really
now that you
don't.
have 7, I think the board's allowed to, and I don't think any of these folks would object, the board's allowed to shave some of these and make it so that it falls into that.
Well, that would certainly solve the problem.
Sure.
So what would you wanna do, change 1 to 25?
24.
Well, you got.
Yeah, right, you
Right,
have no-
you don't have a
You
24.
have no
Change Matt's to
24s.
24, he's the new person, right off the bat, that fills that joint spot.
No, he has to have a 7-year term.
So we have to do the
1, 2,
26,
3, 4. He would expire in 25 too. So yeah, you could make him 24, you're right.
Just, again, you have two
Okay, so-
26s at this point.
so Matt is 24, we have 3 26s.
So you need a 27 and a 28.
You do. At least a 27 in there.
Okay, so you wanna do Vicky Bice with 27?
Fine with me.
I don't think she would mind.
No. Okay, and Collie Smith, well, we should leave 1 or 2 of these at 26.
3, 2, 4, 25.
You could leave him there. Al's gotta be the
26.
newest. Isn't Al
And
the
make
newest
Al 28,
member?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do Al 28?
then you have 22 to 28.
Mm-hmm.
You're done, game over.
Where do you go, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26?
Yeah. So does that sound good by all you?
That resolves all the
Okay,
concerns I had. Well, I'm
Well,
sorry, there is one more. We have 7 members on the board,
correct.
and we're supposed to also have an alternate.
Okay,
I
but
don't
that's up
know
to,
if the alternate can be one of the members. I don't think so.
I understood that that was up to the chairman to appoint an alternate.
Yeah, they would recommend
That
to
would
the
be up
town
to
board,
Tom.
just like the now I
The
I understand your
Yeah.
email.
Yeah, the
Okay.
chairman of the committee,
Okay,
the planning board
so he
committees.
would
That would be
pick
up to
somebody,
Tom.
and that's a yearly appointment,
Exactly.
so.
So everybody's good with that?
Let's, do you want to, do these individually now, or just as adjusted? Because you were gonna do one,
We were gonna do them all
Yeah.
together, but I mean, you wanna do them together or separate?
I don't see why we can't
I
do
just-
them as a mass
Okay.
resolution.
we
Okay,
can,
so
I would
everyone's-
suggest
The changes you
that
make.
for the purposes of either sending anything to them vis-à-vis the Consolidated Health District, or putting it up, that it be Dr. Michael Parslow and NP Carla
Okay.
Dare. Because at
No,
least
he's not an MD though,
in his case, but he's a.
just Dr.
he's
Parsons.
a
Doctor
doctor.
of
Yeah, just doctor.
Doctor- okay.
DO.
He's a
what it
DO.
is.
Okay,
The reason I say that is because while Carla is not statutory, nor is Mrs. Rumsey, he is. Right? The makeup of a consolidated health district has to have supervisor, mayor, and your chief medical officer for the town.
okay.
And that has been read since the days of Woody and
So
before
Michael
to be
Parslow
the
is DR Michael
Dr.
Parslow.
Michael Parslow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make those changes and I'll get them emailed to you guys tomorrow for the changes of these. Okay, so everything else is in agreement here with all the others?
And we're not, we're including the library board, but
That,
that's,
that one we did last time.
The only one we did the last time was
Nancy,
Nancy Welch.
she was the only change.
right.
And we
gotcha.
did that at the last meeting, so
Gotcha.
that's done.
I would so move
Okay.
with all corrections.
Okay, and second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, and you're handed the oaths, right? Okay, so that's completed. Okay, and did everybody get a chance to read the agreement from Cornell Cooperative Extension on the library information? You all got it and read, everybody in agreement that it's okay to go ahead and sign it and get it back to the library?
I move that you sign it and return it to the library.
Okay, okay.
Somebody give a second on
A
that?
second?
Second.
Neil. Okay, so that's taken care of, take care of that tomorrow. Okay. Bob, Code Enforcement Officer. Your annual report.
Guess you all got a copy. I hope you got a copy anyway. Members of the town board, in order to update you on the building department activities for the year 2019, I would like to offer you the following summary. There are a total of 88 building permits issued in the town of Lake Pleasant for 2019. By comparison, there were 86 permits issued in 2018. The permits issued were as follows. 21 permits were issued for new residential buildings. Of these, 6 were for single-family dwellings, with 3 of those permits being renewals. 15 for garages, storage buildings or sheds, with 3 of those being renewals. There were no permits issued for new commercial buildings. 10 permits for additions. These include increasing the size of an existing footprint or enclosing an existing structure to create more living space. Of these, 7 were renewals. There were 21 permits for alterations. This group of permits includes structural changes to a building, the complete change of a system, or upgrades to existing systems. Of these, 2 permits were renewals. There were 11 permits for septic systems or repairs to septic systems. Of these, 3 permits were renewals. There were 8 permits for wells, with 1 of those permits being a renewal. There were 7 permits for demolition of a structure. 9 permits for decks and porches, 1 permit for a solid fuel burning device. For the year 2019, there were 5 certificates of occupancy issued and 18 certificates of compliance issued. The certificates of occupancy issued are as follows. There was a CO issued to Roger Usland for a new single-family dwelling on Longview Drive. There was a CO issued to Art Lane for a new 2-bay garage with storage space above on Brown Point Drive. There was a CO issued to Ray Barger for a new single-family dwelling on Page Street. There was a CO issued to Matt Sipes for a new 2-bay garage with storage space above on Pearson Lane. A CO issued to Mike Mason for a 2-bay garage with living space above on South Shore Road. The 18 certificates of compliance were issued for various projects ranging from additions and major alterations to smaller projects and system upgrades, making sure that compliance to New York State building codes was adhered to. There was 1 stop work order issued in town for 2019 to an out-of-town contractor working without a permit. And there was 1 fire department notice received in this office for 2019 for a fire at the Peasley residence on Moffett Beach Road. The structure was destroyed and later demolished. If you have any questions concerning any of the above information, please do not hesitate to ask. Respectfully yours, Bob Bankovich, Code Enforcement Officer, Town of Lake Pleasant.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, on the one, stop work,
Mhm.
there was just no building permit?
Correct. They were working without a permit, and they were doing structural work.
Okay.
So I happened to see him going by and stopped and asked him about it. I've caught this guy before.
I was just leading up to.
Yeah,
is it-
I gave him a stop work order in the village the year before.
I thought so. Okay, gotcha.
Some people you have to keep tabs on.
Good catch.
Okay, well, thank you, Bob. Okay, now that I switched things around, I gotta go back to number 3, a resolution for standard workday. This is a resolution to reestablish the standard workday as 6 hours for New York State pension purposes. Whereas the Town of Lake Pleasant Town Board approves the reestablishment of the standard full-time workday as 6 hours for the New York State pension, and to file a 3-month sample of town-related work history with the town clerk. This should be done by appointed and elected officials as follows: supervisor, town clerk, tax collector, superintendent of highways, animal control officer, and town justices and council persons. So, we need, does someone want to move this?
I will move it for
Neil?
purposes of
Okay,
discussion.
okay, Neil, and seconded,
I'll second it for purposes of discussion.
okay. All in favor?
We want discussion.
Okay. You want to discuss it first? Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
We can't discuss until we move it and second it, so that's why I moved it. I think we should pass this because it does affect you folks. I'm just sort of putting it out there, and I talked to Debbie a few minutes ago before the meeting. I'm fine with keeping track of my time, but I don't believe any of your 4 board members are in the pension system.
Right.
So it seems a lot of extra paperwork for Debbie to do.
My resolution just has to read that way.
Sure,
You know, whether, what
Right,
I
and it's
submit to
germane
them
to you,
is gonna be a
and
whole
it's
different
to the-
resolution in 3 months. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, that will
So
cover it for
stated-
us, I
so
think.
you guys don't have to do anything.
Right.
Right, I mean, I have those sheets and I've been keeping them, just because it's, I'm retired, so, you got time to do these stuff. But, it could
He's
get
rubbing it in.
onerous for folks a little bit.
I'll cover y'all.
We'll just put down, so I'm just gonna put an exception to this. I'm gonna add that to that resolution, saying that for 4 board members that we have on staff right now are not part, will not be part, are
Not
retired.
Currently in the retired
Right.
system for a variety of reasons. But with that, I'm ready to vote. I just
Okay.
wanted to sort of get that out there.
Good enough for me.
Thank you.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye?
Okay, so carried. So that's it on the resolution. I'll give that back to you, Deb.
So no board members, Neil's one thing on that.
Right. Yep, That's it, okay, so next we need, the next meeting will be February 3rd, which will be at the Lake Pleasant Library, yes?
I'm sorry to make this longer, but that being February 3rd, in the budget, we, this is going to personnel, we put in for, hiring a mechanic to shadow Malcolm starting the 1st of March.
Okay,
The plan was to advertise for the month of February, starting, as soon as possible, the month of February. If we're going to hit the newspaper for the first week of February, we need to get that in on Friday, I do believe, the first, no?
Excuse me.
You want it in for next week's paper?
No, I want it in for the first week of February. Just so we go by the thing, which is February 1st.
If you want it February 1st paper, you have to have it then in next week.
Okay, so then,
I have to have it in by Tuesday.
You'd have had it in today
No.
no.
for
Twenty-eight.
the
I have to have
Thursday.
it in next I have to have it in next
28th to
Tuesday.
get it in on the 30th.
Right, because that's.
So
what
we need to
you want it to run
authorize
on the
Debbie to
30th.
do that, right?
Correct, that's what I was getting at.
I move that we authorize the town clerk to place such an ad.
For a
okay, second?
Second.
I seconded you.
Now, that being said, we are advertising for a mechanic which in this place seems to be the same in one as because we're down to one mechanic. Malcolm is the senior mechanic. We went from 3 to 1. So do we, I'll have to get the actual job classifications, but that's what we're replacing is the senior mechanic, so I assume that's where we're gonna stay.
I'm a little bit
Would you
shaky on
keep-
what we budgeted for, but
We budgeted in there, there's an allotment for the starting pay of a senior mechanic
I see,
for 6 month period.
Gotcha.
Which will go March, April, May, June, July, August. Malcolm retires September.
Sadly.
So his pay stops there and then that person is way less than his pay.
sure.
Will continue on,
Right,
so
just
that's
lack
how
of
I
service.
budgeted
Gotcha.
into it.
Okay, so
Was the
pre-plan for
starting
that.
first year higher pay of a senior mechanic for a 6 month period.
I'm looking at the calendar.
Okay.
So, just back to that again. So if you're saying you want a name to be brought in front of the board by February 3rd?
No,
Okay,
I
good.
want to start advertising
Right,
and
So that he can
then-
hire by
You
March.
can
But I can
interview,
have, hopefully, we normally advertise for 2 weeks, and
Right.
it gives us 2 weeks to hire somebody. And that person can then start the first,
right.
March.
So, just, not that
if
my
we get
opinion,
anybody.
my opinion is that we should be advertising in more than just the local paper.
I agree, because we need to get
You know,
as
we've
many
done it,
options
we've
as
done
we
it in the
can.
past where, we've done legals in the Leader Herald, we've done it in the Amsterdam Recorder, the Hamilton County newspaper, we've done it in the Glens Falls, we've done it in the Observer Dispatch in Utica. So, I mean, how far are we going out on this? Do you want me to do the area, what we used to do when we really need to find somebody that's
I think you're gonna have
of the
to.
caliber that would,
Yeah, we spread it
I
out.
think so too, because if I remember correctly, the highway department, the state highway department of Wells is still looking for. a
They all are.
mechanic.
right?
There's
So
a
we're gonna-
permanent
so-
sign.
So what, I'll
Wide
I'll
net.
go to
at
what I
every
think is.
every
unbelievable.
DOT.
Right.
Notice that.
Yeah, it's not like it was a sign stuck on the fence, it's
right,
going to be there a while there.
So we'll go to the legals to what I think is the perimeter of Hamilton County, which
Right.
would probably be about 5 or 6 papers.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you and I
Okay.
can work on that ad, spare time.
okay. So I think
Spare
we're,
time?
He's got plenty.
okay, so we've got a first, we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Any opposed? Okay, we need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, so carried. Public comment again. Bob?
Yes, on the resolution to change your rate of mileage, I know you had a first and a second, did you actually pass that?
Did she call that vote?
I
No?
think she did.
Okay, all in favor?
Let's go back to,
Well, we have
Well,
Neil
Right.
moved it, Don seconded it,
right, to the county.
same
Yeah.
as the county,
Right.
yep. 57.5, same as the county. Neil moved it, Don second.
It was a long
All in favor?
deliberation, but I vote aye.
Aye. Anyone
How
opposed?
about you?
It was done, yeah. it was done.
No, that was, we already, apparently we did everything but
Vote.
call the
Ayes.
vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we're into public comment. Anything else? Anybody else?
That's enough.
Okay, roundtable. Debbie?
I just wanna say that Faith and I have been collecting taxes at a very rapid pace. We have given to the supervisor over $300,000 in the last week. And not finding too many errors this time around. The thing that we keep finding is people writing the amount and the printed part is not matching. So we've been really, last year it was a nightmare, horrible. This
You
year.
take the higher one? Is that what you?
You have to take the writer, the written one out, the bank. So we really have had to, I had a woman call today and she said, I sent you a check and I haven't got it back yet. What's going on? And of course, whenever we have an error, Faith and I will make copies of whatever. And I said, well, you forgot to write the amount in. So she wrote it, but didn't put the numbers up.
Yeah.
So of course, we can't accept that. And then we had a check, just a little few dilemmas. We had a check come from California with the envelope empty, nothing in it, and half open, half closed. So I sent a copy of the letter to the owner and said, this is all I got, nothing inside. 2 or 3 days later, do I not get an envelope from the post office box in California saying, found this loose?
Oh, because
Sending
it was
it-
open.
And I'm talking a check of thousands and thousands of dollars that somehow they got my name and taped it. And anyway, made copies of that, sent that to this owner. So I'm hoping this owner will catch up with it. But can you think of anything else crazy this year? It's it's been calmer this year than last, but yeah. So we've had 11 deposits so far, and we've turned over 300,000. So I think we're gonna hit the 2 million mark. With them.
You know my fascination with this in my time here. That people get here on January 2nd and knock the door down to make sure they get their taxes paid. And while we of course appreciate all of those taxpayers, I'm just like, why?
I know.
And so anxious to get them paid. And then those same people I mentioned before, I'm retired, I don't have this much time. People who by the 4th or 5th are calling you, I haven't seen that come out of my.
Check and count.
If I write you a check and you don't cash it for 3 months, I
I'm
send you a
happy.
thank you card. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, so
Really.
this woman did call today, and I said, I'm sorry, but your check is on its way back because you didn't write the amount in.
yeah, you
So,
gotta have that sort of thing.
Yes, yeah. So that's just what we've been doing in our office, is so we are staying very busy.
Good.
Chris?
Nothing.
Nothing. Randy?
So our truck is possibly be here tomorrow,
Nice.
but they left off a little note that it might be Friday because of the last snowstorm.
Okay.
That they
So we
didn't
just
do
lost Thursday and then.
anything. They have to clean the yard. We're not working trucks.
Don?
Just my concern on the cell towers. It's, we seem to have cell coverage here. It's not the best, but it is coverage.
Not really.
There's none in the office here.
The offices are horrible.
Outside.
If I get a call, I've gotta go outside in the cold.
Outside, me too.
Well, that's more than we
weird.
get up in the western end of the town.
I hear you.
And,
The hinterlands with it.
yeah, the hinterland. So, yeah, I know we live out in the woods out there, but, you know, it'd be nice to have some of the niceties of the 21st century out that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's just my concern.
I think
hear you there.
you're, when you voice it for all those folks who have either partial or none. And we've gotta do everything we can to get it to the town lines. And I think that it's gotta be incremental, including, like Chris said, for that last mile, that oftentimes is overlooked because it doesn't make money for them. You know, we've gotta keep it in our, in our sling that maybe we've gotta do something about it ourselves, but
Yep,
either way, you still have to work with them.
absolutely.
Right.
But I was always under the impression that, you know, that they had some financial incentives to to go to places like this and have cell phone service.
That certainly has been the way it was sold 3, 4, 5 years ago, when the lieutenant governor was, here just expounding on, our state would be lit up like a Christmas tree from end to end. I think those incentives are there. I think we have to do everything we can politically to make them honor them.
Anything else for you, Neil?
I have
You
two
all done?
things. No, I have
Okay,
two things.
okay.
'Cause Debbie would be disappointed if I didn't. One is,
God.
welcome back.
Memories.
Glad you're taking it off on me.
Two small
The
things.
memories.
One is,
Small, he
Chris
said.
has pointed out some things that I was not aware of, having to do with billables for our covered souls here in the town at the primary care. I will be taking that up with either Patrice McMahon or Larry Kelly or someone to give what answers we can, and I'll have them back the next time we meet.
Great.
The other is I put on your spot here 2 pages that were literally exactly 5 years ago. We met in the new village hall at that point to speak about SPARC, Speculative Paseco Area Regional Council. And it is, as you'd see in the mission statement, what it's about. It's really just a support group. I'm of the belief that this community, writ large, including Paseco and our edges, that the community can do a lot more when it's asked of them and they see a benefit. I always look back to the Oak Mountain model and how successful it was, how many hours of volunteer time people put in. And this is basically a volunteer group that will help our chamber and our civic groups in pulling off bigger, better, in some cases newer events for the community. And then some other things down the line as far as folks who can be a speakers bureau or a mentoring bureau for folks in our towns who want to start a small business, et cetera. You'll receive an email shortly about this and then try to gin some interest. No meeting is yet set. It'll be either at the library or as an alternate at the village hall meeting rooms. And I'm happy to say that the person who was about to be the ERSAT's SPARC, the chair, was our friend Matt Seiff's
Caitlin?
wife, Caitlin. And Caitlin has answered me and said that she's got all her papers, which I did not doubt at all. I said, I got everything. I got everything. So she's ready to get started on this and more to follow.
That's great. That's great.
And I did meet
Appreciate
briefly with the chamber director on that to allay any, because she was not in that position when this
Right.
was sort of spawned. And Donna's hip to it and understands it
Great.
and will be completely involved when time is right.
Okay. Speaking of the chamber, on the table here is their quarterly report if anybody's interested in taking a copy. And there's also the minutes from the library's meeting this month. You're welcome to help yourself. They're on the table. Just a couple of things. I went to the Town of Lake Pleasant Fire Department meeting last week, just to kind of touch base and let them know we're here and what's going on, and just get the airways open. That went quite well. And then Debbie and I attended and Neil attended the village meeting last week.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see the girls there. I've been going for
Well,
some time. It was
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, well.
They were impressed.
It's good to touch base and
Yes.
kind of be on board with everybody, and we all know what we're doing, and so I just wanted to mention that, and that's basically all I have. So, if nobody has anything else,
Motion to adjourn.
do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay,
You gotta be quicker, Don.
have a good evening.
I'll get next.
Gee.
The same short goes with the bills.
Neil, so Caitlin is gonna be the leadership
That's
on
what Andy
this?
Chris is playing.
Yes, I
Is that the word?
mean,
Chicken
I
meat.
can't say that for certain. I think once the group is formed, it'll be a consensus vote,
So,
but
but Kate-
yes.
Caitlin,
She's right now the whip on the project.
She's
Okay.
good, we know that.
We know that.
She's
calling her
excellent.
chairman.
Excuse me.
I'm not calling her chairman until
I'm calling
a
her the
meeting
whip
is
of the
had.
project at this point in time.
She's the whip, she was that when we were fledgling and getting going. We only participated in one event, that fall, which was the, at that time, really just beginning